So just by a show of hands, this is probably like my, I don't know, 15th or 16th HSG conference. Show of hands, is this the first time that you've come to an HSG conference? Oh, wow. Oh, awesome. All right, so congratulations and welcome. That's really, really cool. This is awesome. So you're probably going, I think I know a little bit, or maybe you're saying, I think I know a little bit about HSG or what it does, but a lot of you might say, I'm not really sure. So here's kind of in a nutshell. HSG is a worldwide network of researchers and care providers dedicated to finding treatments for Huntington's disease. That makes sense, but exactly how does this all work? So, HSG was started in 1993 by Ira Scholson and the late Jack Penny, as well as others. Currently, we have over 400 investigators, and I'll tell you a little bit about what that means. We are located in 100 sites all over the globe. That includes United States, of course, Canada, South America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. And we do have people represented here at this conference from all of those countries. And it is a nonprofit. So every year we do this lovely picture. On Thursday night, we all had our picture. I also want to let you know that this is so far, I think it's the 24th year, this is the highest enrollment of all the participants ever. So we have the most people who have come to this conference, and that includes all of you. So this is really nice that we're growing. So every year we get together, and the photographer who's sitting down here tries to corral us like cats into this small area and does these pictures. So we do these really serious pictures, and then he or she will ask us to do like this crazy picture. So of course the crazy picture is the one that is on the HSG website. I don't know, it kind of to me looks like we're like half-assed doing like the YMCA dance or something. So if you like want to find Waldo, I'm in the front because I'm so short. So in the gray jacket there, and I'm the one who's not doing this because I know it's going to be on the internet, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I do find it really funny that we're all kind of in there, and the two people that you immediately go to first are like pushing 7 feet, and that's Dr. Ryman and Dr. Dorsey, who are both there doing their little YMCA dance. So you can see them right on the top right side. So you will see our new picture from here. This is in Tennessee, when we were in Tennessee last year. So you'll see our new picture that's going to be on the website soon, and hopefully we all look as good as we do there. Okay, so HSG is many things. So yes, we design and conduct clinical trials. It's actually not just clinical trials. As I was reviewing this information, I'll tell you a little bit of the difference. There's a couple of different kinds of trials. Clinical trials are drug trials, where we have people come in and we give them a substance, a placebo, a drug, whatever it is. There's also something called observational trials, and that's where we ask you questions. We ask you questions, we ask your loved one questions. So when we say trials, it's not just drug trials, it's also clinical trials, and the next speakers will talk a little bit about that. We also educate and train. We educate those investigators, so that's doctors and nurses and social workers and different people who run the different programs, the different trials at their sites. We educate coordinators and care providers. We also have partners, which are our sponsors, the pharmaceutical companies, and all of you, the patients and families. And we also work with regulatory boards, which I'll talk about. Of course, we're also a resource to patients and families, and that's really important, and that's what I was talking about. Just come outside, go on the website, I'll touch base about that. So we do have a board of directors. We are a nonprofit, we have a board of directors. There is Dr. Ray Dorsey, who is our chair. We have Blair Levitt, who is our co-chair. Julie okay, so it's Ray Dorsey is from New York, Blair is from Canada, Julie is from Australia. Joni, where's Joni from? Is she from? Okay, well, Canada, Rochester, New York, and most of us are going to be heading back to Canada soon, so okay, that's great. So Joni is there as the a member at large, and then we have Shari Cannell, who's also in Rochester, and she is our executive director. She works as Julie is our treasurer, and Shari is our secretary. So the interesting part is that they don't just work, just the few of them and make all the decisions. The executive committee advises the board of directors, and we have all these people that are on this executive committee. Some are people who are automatically on, other people are people who are elected on or appointed on. So lots of different people, and it does change. Some of them do change over time. Lots of people, I'm not going to go into exactly who everybody is, but they really work together, and because it is worldwide, it's really a big deal. So every once in a while, every couple of months, they get on these phone calls. Sometimes it's 4 o'clock in the morning for somebody. There's Ralph Ryman there. He's from Germany, and obviously Julie is from Australia, as I mentioned. And they really dedicate this time and just kind of figure out the wave and where things are going. And then there is the lovely staff in the bright orange shirts that you'll see today. Sherry is, these are the people who work full-time, that this is what they do full-time. So Sherry is our executive director. Heather, who was, we said hello to, is the director of communication and outreach. Stefan is the director of finance and operation. We have Kristen, accounting and office manager. You probably saw Heather and Kristen and Stefan and Ann when you came in. And Ann is our newest member, and she is the director of education and special programs. So they do an incredible job. Okay, so we talked about HSG being the premier organization for running HD, and it's not just clinical trials, it's trials. So that's kind of, I want to open that up. The interesting part is over the last 24 years, we've had about 30 of these trials, which is really cool. And out of that, were the drug trials, 2 drugs were approved by the FDA specifically for HD symptoms, and those are the chorea symptoms, so we have those couple of drugs. Currently, there are 2 clinical or drug programs that are running. Signal, which I believe is still enrolling, so that means that we're looking for participants to be part of that, and Legato, which is done enrolling but is still ongoing. So we talked a bit about the education for the medical professionals. So we go out to the sites and we train people so that everyone basically has the same information and does the trials in the same way, which is really important because you want clean data. You don't just want one site to do their own thing and another site, because you want, when you're doing all of this, which I'll explain, you want everyone to have the same information and do everything the same possible way. It kind of takes out what we call these variables. So if I'm doing an assessment with you, you want to have the same people, you want to have people in Australia doing the same assessment the same way, so we get really good data. We update the members on current research, which is really important, so we all get all these lovely emails from HSG keeping us updated on what's going on. We update the members and the broader health community on clinical care, and this is really going to be great because it's going to be, if you go onto the HSG website, which you're all going to do, and you check the education section, there's little webinars like blogs and different web programs that are going to give you information not just about, hey, what is HSG and what does it mean to me, but there's going to be educational programs. So for instance, there was a couple people who were filmed yesterday and the day before on, talking about irritability or talking about apathy or talking about things. So you can log on day or night, anytime, as many times as you want, to get information about Huntington's disease, symptoms, information, research, what's going on, which is really cool. So that's going to be built up over the next couple of years, so be looking for that. That's a really great thing, and it's available to everybody. And we do an outreach to educate the broader medical community on HD treatments. So there's something that's going on right now at exactly the same time. It's called CME for HD, and it's a training session. Each time we go to a different state, that we do these annual conferences, we ask the healthcare providers around the state if they want to learn about HD. Now, we kind of do that with this little carrot kind of thing. So when you are a nurse, a doctor, a social worker, a therapist, you have to every year have these continuing medical education credits. We have to prove to our licensing board that we didn't just go to school and we're done and we think we know it all. Some of us think we know it all, but I think it's going to be one of those where we have to continue to be educated. So we offer them these CMEs and we say, come in, learn about Huntington's disease, which is great for all of you who live in this area, and we get people who are interested and know what they're doing, and we give them these CMEs, we give them these credit units. So it's really, really important, and this program has been going on really strong, started, I believe, in Charlotte with Mary Edmondson, and is going really, really strong, and there's excellent speakers who work with all of your healthcare providers out in the community. So that's really important what we do. Okay, HSG is absolutely nothing without you, the families. The generosity and dedication of families impacted by HD is why HSG is successful. And there is no UHGRS with families. All right, show of hands if your family's a patient or whatever. Do you know what a UHGRS is? Put up your hand. Okay, a lot of people don't. You're going to hear that term a lot. A UHDRS stands for Unified Huntington's Disease Rating Scale. So it's this 8 or 11-page packet. It's basically a tool that we look at somebody who comes in, whether you're pre-symptomatic coming in for testing, whether you've been tested and you're positive for Huntington's, whether you've come into our clinics and we've seen you over time. It's basically our gold standard test, which we can look at all the symptoms, the motor symptoms, the psychiatric symptoms, the cognitive symptoms, and we can figure out how you're doing, where you are, track your information. The really cool thing, again, is you can go to South America, Australia, Boston, wherever it is, and we all use the same tool. So this is started, again, by Carl Kieberts and Ira Scholson way, way back in the day, and it's something that we still use as a gold standard to find out information of how that person is doing with Huntington's disease. And we use this on a lot of our trials. So it's a UHDRS. You'll hear it when you go to see your providers. You'll hear people talking about it. And obviously, there are no trials without families, so we are indebted to all of you for being part of that. And when there's no trials, and there's no progress. All right, so what does this mean for you? I'm going to pull it all together in the last couple of seconds. Let's say you're a family with HD. Well, a lot of you are. You see a healthcare practitioner who's part of the Huntington study group, and you discuss the problem of irritability, apathy, whatever it is, you pick it. Let's pick apathy. And you say, gee, this, my loved one really has a lot of apathy. And the person with the healthcare provider will say, okay, well, I wonder, is this, I think this is, a lot of people are having this. So that healthcare provider comes back to these meetings and says, you know what, my family members are really complaining about apathy. This is really something, there's something going on here, there's something happening here. So that person basically will discuss these issues with all of the people at HSG, and since many other families notice these symptoms, HSG then goes to these drug companies and says, okay, we need help. We are having a lot of people with this one symptom, apathy. Can you make a drug? So the drug company says, yeah, I want to make a drug. But they're like saying, well, we have a lot of moving parts in this. So they have to discuss, how do we test for this drug for HSG? So we already know how to do that because we've all been trained on that. So we're part of the HSG. We use our UHDRS because that's going to be something that we can use when we're testing these drugs. We know how to use a PBA, a problem behavior assessment, all these different standardized tests that we've all been trained exactly the same way on. We use other standardized tests. We know how to ship blood. That sounds so silly. All you do is take the blood and ship it off. No, there's lots of regulatory information. We have to make sure we're taking the blood, that if we have to spin the blood or freeze the blood or do that, it's always the same so that when it arrives, sometimes it arrives to different countries, that the blood is safe and that we can use it. So you have to know how to do that. The really cool part is that all of these sites have been trained exactly the same way on how to do that. And we have all the regulatory credentials. So when people say, well, does this one know, how to work with people in research? Does this person know how, the safe way to draw blood or to do this test the proper way? We're all certified on that. So it's like this built-in program that's already there. And then maybe say the drug company is concerned how to reach people. Okay, so everyone knows how to test, and we're going to get all this information. How do we reach people? Again, we already have that in place because all the HSG members are part of these sites, and we know all of you. So it's this really win-win situation to say, we're going to put up a sign, and say that this is a drug trial that we've been approved to do. There's lots of different, it sounds very easy. There's lots of complicated ways, but we know how to do that, and we're going to reach out to you. So it's all there already built in, which is awesome. And the drug company then needs someone to understand how to crunch all these numbers. So we take the blood, we take these tests, we take the MRIs, we take all this information, but we have to crunch the numbers so that they mean something, so we can say to the Food and Drug Administration or other people, look, this is what happened before, we gave this drug, and this is the results. We're showing that it's significant. And we have people to do that. They know the tests that we're doing. They know what to do with these numbers. They're called biostatisticians. If you think of a biostatistician, I don't know if any of them are in the room, but okay, here's a secret. They're not fun at parties. Okay, these are really, it's like your tax accountant, like they know exactly what you're doing with all the numbers and all the stuff. They are not fun at parties. Okay, they are really boring people. They're good. They're really good at what they're doing. They have, they're very, very good, and we need them. But they have all that stuff. And then the drug company says, fine, okay, we have all of this data, but now we need to go to these regulatory bodies, the NIH, the National Institute of Health, the FDA, the Federal Food and Drug Administration, and we have to go in front of these people. Again, HSG already knows how to do that. We've done that before. We know the information that they need. We know what they have to say. We know what they want, what they want us to show them. So that's really, and sometimes we have sites that we have patients and families say, I want to be there. I want to go up the hill with you. I want to go in front of the FDA and say how important this drug is, that we know it's significant, we know it's made a change, and that we can tell them our story. These are all things that are built in. So this is really awesome. HSG is what we call a CRO, a clinical research organization. That's important to know as well. But we're so much more because we have this relationship with you and you have this relationship with us. Okay, last slide. What can you do? So hopefully, does that kind of clear things up of like what HSG is and what we do? I see a lot of head nodding, so I'm good. Okay, so you can be a member. Everyone in this room, no matter what your status is, no matter how you're related to someone with HSG, can be a member. All you need to do is to go on to www.huntingtonstudygroup.org to join. So you could sign up for research updates if you want to get information. You can participate in those clinical and observational trials, and that's not just if you're at risk or positive. You could be negative. You could be what we call a family control. You live with somebody who has HD, but you yourself do not have the genetic, do not have HSD in your line of the family. That's awesome because we have these built-in controls when we need somebody, when we match people up who have Huntington's without, and we're doing all the same tests. It's great to have family control, so you can do that. I mean, we might not give you a drug, but we can have you in the observational studies. We take blood from people who are members, family members. And maybe it's that you're saying participation is not right exactly for you. That's fine. There's lots of things that can happen. You can spread the word about trial opportunities. You might have friends and families in other states and other countries and say, can you do, try to get part of this study. You can educate your community about Huntington's disease, which Aya was talking about, and you can join an advocacy organization. So there's tons and tons of things. And the 3 things I'm going to leave you with that I'm asking you just to even consider is that there are 3 incredible, I think, and I'm part of their, getting onto their websites and their information, one is the Huntington Study Group. If you just go in and join as a member, it takes 2 minutes. It's so easy to do. You can do it on a break. You can do it, when one of these speakers is up here that you're kind of like, okay, I'm just going to zone out for a second. Not me or the next speakers, but you know what I'm talking about. You can also please do go on HDYO. HDYO.org is an incredible organization, and you can just sign right up with Kat. It takes, again, 30 seconds to do. The last one is my segue to the next 2 speakers, who I am like a huge fangirl, like just, I'm not worthy. These are people who have dedicated their lives. Dr. Ed Carroll and Dr. Oh gosh, that was weird. Ooh, that was like Freudian. Oh, I'm so sorry. Dr. Ed Wild and Dr. Jeff Carroll. Oh gosh, I need therapy.
Nightmare scenario.
Yeah, it is a nightmare scenario. Are 2 incredible doctors who, and you have to know them, but you're going to fall in love with them the way everyone does, are 2 doctors who have dedicated their life to finding treatments and cures and are in the labs, but they also realized that there was a huge need. They basically said that, we have all of these articles and journals and things that have come out, and it really goes over a lot of people's heads, not just patients and families. I'm not a molecular scientist, I mean, it's interesting to get some of this information, but I can't read a lot of these journals and articles that come out. They've dedicated their time to say, we need to get this information out to people in layman terms. So there is an incredible site, hdbuzz. It's net, right? Anything?
Net, yeah.
hdbuzz, BUZZ.net. Please sign up. You can get a lot of the information. You can just say, I'm not going to read it today. But then when someone says, oh, have you heard about this great thing? Or you see something on TV about, that there's a cure for HD, all you need to do is to go onto this website, put in some information, and an article in layman terms will come to you, and you'll go, I get it now. I understand. So that is just one of the many, many hats that they wear. They're going to come up and talk about what's happening in HD science as well as clinical trials. But please, those 3 things are really, really important and will keep you connected. Because when you have information, you have knowledge, and knowledge is power.